The village of Ravenswood was old, its history stretched back centuries, with tales of both prosperity and despair woven into its very fabric. The villagers, though few in number, carried the weight of their ancestors' stories, each one more haunting than the last. Ancient oaks lined the streets, their branches twisted like gnarled fingers. These trees had witnessed countless seasons, their roots digging deep into the earth, intertwining with the secrets buried beneath. The villagers often spoke of the trees as guardians, silent watchers of the passage of time. Fog clung to the cobblestone paths, hiding secrets in its misty embrace. The fog was a constant companion in Ravenswood, rolling in from the nearby moors and enveloping the village in a shroud of mystery. It was said that the fog had a mind of its own, revealing and concealing as it pleased. On the hill overlooking the village stood a house. It was a grand structure once, with tall windows and a stately facade. But now it was a shadow of its former self, its walls crumbling and its windows shattered. The house had an air of melancholy, as if mourning the loss of its past glory. Dark and silent, it was a scar on the landscape. The villagers avoided it, their eyes averted whenever they passed by. It was as if the house had a presence, a malevolent force that repelled anyone who dared to come too close. The house had once been home to the Hayes family. They were a prominent family in Ravenswood, known for their wealth and influence, but their story was one of tragedy. The family had vanished one stormy night, leaving no trace. Their disappearance was a mystery that had never been solved. They had vanished one stormy night, leaving no trace. The storm had been fierce, with lightning splitting the sky and thunder shaking the ground. The villagers had huddled in their homes, listening to the howling wind and the pounding rain. When the storm passed, the Hayes family was gone. Some whispered of a curse. They spoke of dark forces at work, of ancient evils that had claimed the family. Others believed that the Hayes had been taken by the spirits of the moors, drawn into the fog and lost forever. The whispers grew louder with each passing year, the mystery deepening with time. Others spoke of shadows moving within the house's empty windows. They claimed to see figures in the darkness, fleeting glimpses of the lost family. The house seemed to be alive, its empty rooms echoing with the whispers of the past. The villagers avoided it, fearing what they might see if they looked too closely. Whatever the truth, the house on the hill remained a haunting reminder of the family lost. It stood as a monument to the unknown, a symbol of the mysteries that lay hidden in the fog. The villagers spoke of it in hushed tones, their voices tinged with fear and reverence. No one dared to approach it. No one except Mira. Mira was different. She was drawn to the house, compelled by a force she couldn't explain. She had heard the stories, the whispers of curses and shadows, but she was not afraid. She felt a connection to the house, a pull that she couldn't resist. As she walked towards it, the fog parted, revealing the path ahead. She knew that she was meant to uncover the secrets of Ravenswood's shadow. Mira was different. She wasn't afraid of the dark. She sought out the unknown, drawn to the mysteries that sent shivers down others' spines. Mira was a ghost hunter, her curiosity a burning flame. She had heard the stories about the Hayes house, the whispers of cold spots and disembodied voices. Mira knew this was her next investigation. She packed her bag with her trusty flashlight, a camera, and an electromagnetic field reader. Tonight she would face the darkness of Ravenswood's haunted house. The old iron gate groaned as Mira pushed it open. The wind howled through the trees, sounding like a mournful cry. Each step up the overgrown path sent chills down her spine, but Mira pressed on, her heart pounding with anticipation. The front door creaked open as if inviting her inside. The air within was heavy and cold. Dust swirled in the faint moonlight, filtering through grimy windows. The house was silent, yet Mira could feel eyes watching her every move. Room by room, Mira explored the house. Each one was empty, yet filled with an unsettling presence. She reached a room at the end of the hallway. Moonlight glinted off a large, ornate mirror hanging on the far wall. As Mira approached, she noticed something strange. A face flickered in the mirror's reflection, a pale face with hollow eyes and a cruel smile. It wasn't her own. Mira froze, her breath catching in her throat. The face in the mirror grew more distinct. Mira had always felt uneasy around that old mirror, a family heirloom passed down through generations. It was said to be cursed, but she never believed in such tales. Tonight, however, something felt different. The air was thick with an unexplainable tension, and the room seemed colder than usual. She could see her breath fogging up the glass as she stared at the reflection. The face in the mirror wasn't hers, it was someone or something else entirely. It reached out, its hand breaking through the glass. The sound was like 1,000 tiny shards, shattering all at once, echoing in the silent room. Mira's eyes widened in horror as the hand emerged, pale and translucent, yet undeniably real. It moved with a slow, deliberate grace, as if savoring the moment. She could feel the cold emanating from it, a chill that seeped into her bones and made her shiver uncontrollably. The hand seemed to beckon her, inviting her into the unknown. Mira stumbled back, her heart pounding against her ribs. She tried to scream, but no sound came out. Her mind raced, trying to make sense of the impossible sight before her. Was this a nightmare? Was she losing her mind? She pinched herself, hoping to wake up, but the pain only confirmed her reality. The room seemed to close in on her, the walls pressing in as if to trap her with the malevolent entity. She could feel her pulse quicken, each beat a drum of impending doom. The hand, cold and skeletal, grasped her wrist, pulling her towards the mirror. Its grip was like iron, unyielding and merciless. Mira struggled, her free hand clawing at the air, trying to find something to hold on to. She could feel the icy touch of the hand spreading through her arm, numbing her senses. The mirror's surface rippled like water, distorting her reflection into a grotesque parody of herself. She could see the fear in her own eyes, mirrored back at her, amplifying her terror. She struggled against the grip, but it was too strong. Her muscles ached with the effort, but the hand's strength was otherworldly. It was as if the mirror itself was alive, a sentient being determined to claim her. She could hear whispers now, faint and indistinct, like voices from another world. They seemed to be calling her name, urging her to give in, to let go. But Mira fought on, driven by a primal instinct to survive. She kicked and thrashed, her movements growing more desperate with each passing second. The reflection in the mirror was no longer a reflection. It was a portal, a gateway to a realm of shadows and despair. The figure on the other side was clearer now, its features sharp and menacing. It was a woman, or at least it had been once. Now it was a twisted, tormented soul, trapped between worlds. Its eyes were hollow, voids of darkness that seemed to swallow the light. Mira could feel its gaze piercing through her, a cold, unfeeling stare that chilled her to the core. It was a being of its own, and it had her. The figure's grip tightened, pulling her closer to the mirror's surface. Mira could see her own reflection merging with the ghostly form, their features blending into one. She felt a strange sensation, as if her very essence was being drawn out of her body. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, filling her mind with a cacophony of voices. She could feel her strength waning, her will to fight slipping away. The mirror's pull was irresistible, a force of nature that she could not defy. Mira screamed as she was pulled through the glass, her form disappearing into the cold, dark depths of the mirror. Her scream echoed in the empty room, a final, desperate plea for help that went unanswered. The mirror's surface rippled once more, then stilled, returning to its normal, reflective state. The room was silent again, the only evidence of the struggle a few scattered shards of glass on the floor. Mira was gone, lost to the mirror's dark embrace, her fate sealed in the shadows of the unknown. Section 6. The search begins. The next morning, the village awoke to a chilling discovery. Mira was gone. Her car remained parked at the foot of the hill, but there was no sign of her. The villagers, their faces etched with worry, gathered at the edge of the property. They remembered Mira's fascination with the Hayes house. They knew where she had gone. A search party was quickly formed, their apprehension growing with each step towards the house that had already claimed one family. Section 7. Empty rooms, empty promises. The search party fanned out through the house, their calls of Mira's name echoing through the empty rooms. They found no trace of her, no sign of a struggle, no indication of where she might have gone. The house held its secrets close. As the day wore on, hope began to dwindle. The villagers returned to their homes, their faces grim. Mira, the girl who chased ghosts, had become another ghost story for Ravenswood. Section 8. Ravenswood's Fear. The disappearance of Mira cast a pall over Ravenswood. The once lively village, with its bustling market and cheerful townsfolk, now seemed to be shrouded in an ever-present gloom. The air was thick with unease, and whispers of the Hayes house's dark history spread like wildfire. The village, once merely wary of the house on the hill, was now gripped by fear. The Hayes house, with its creaking floors and shadowy corners, had always been a source of local legends, but now those legends felt all too real. The villagers spoke in hushed tones about the strange occurrences that had been happening for years, but Mira's disappearance brought those fears to the forefront. Parents kept their children close, warning them to stay away from the Hayes house. Stories of ghostly apparitions and eerie sounds emanating from the house were shared around dinner tables, each tale more chilling than the last. The children, wide-eyed with fear, listened intently, their imaginations running wild with thoughts of what might lurk within those decaying walls. The house stood as a silent sentinel, a constant reminder of the mysteries it held. Its windows, like dark, soulless eyes, seemed to watch over the village, instilling a sense of dread in anyone who dared to look its way. The overgrown yard with its twisted, gnarled trees added to the house's menacing aura, making it a place to be avoided at all costs. The villagers knew deep down that Mira's disappearance was not the end. They had heard the stories of the Hayes family, how they had vanished without a trace many years ago. Some believed the house was cursed, that it had a life of its own, feeding off the fear and sorrow of those who lived nearby. Others thought it was a gateway to another realm, a place where the living and the dead could cross paths. The house had taken her, just like it had taken the Hayes family. The villagers could feel its malevolent presence, a dark force that seemed to grow stronger with each passing day. They spoke of strange lights flickering in the windows at night, of ghostly figures seen wandering the halls, and of whispers that seemed to come from the very walls of the house itself. And it would not be satisfied. The villagers feared that the house would continue to claim more victims, that its hunger for souls was insatiable. They prayed for Mira's safe return, but deep down they knew that she was lost to them forever. The Hayes house loomed over Ravenswood, a dark and foreboding presence that cast a long shadow over the village, a constant reminder of the fear that gripped their hearts. Section 9. The mirror holds its secrets. Back in the dusty room at the end of the hall, the mirror gleamed in the moonlight. Its surface was smooth and clear, reflecting nothing but the empty room. But if one looked closely, very closely, they might see a flicker of movement within its depths. A pale face with hollow eyes and a cruel smile. A hand reaching out from the darkness. The mirror held its secrets, and Mira, trapped within its cold embrace, was now one of them.